Soviet troops and tanks rolled into Hungary at the end of the Second World War when Stalin was still in power, and they stayed put until April 1989 when the Soviet Union began its unilateral troop withdrawal from Hungary. These are the first tanks to leave. They're being loaded onto a railway transporter in Kiskunhalas. It was a really big event for Hungary, so big in fact that it drew back this prominent Hungarian expat, Ilona Steller. At the time, she was an Italian MP, but she was also well known for her previous career as a porn star and by her stage name, which was La Cicciolina. You can see her here holding out her white dove of peace to one of the retreating Soviet soldiers. The only problem is that when La Cicciolina released the dove, it landed on the concrete loading platform and was accidentally run over by a tank rolling up the platform onto the railway transporter. The beginning of the Soviet troop withdrawal was one of many significant events that occurred in Hungary in 1989. Another took place in May when the Hungarian government began to dismantle a section of the Iron Curtain, this barbed wire fence. I still have my piece of it from that day. News of this big hole in the Iron Curtain spread quickly, and pretty soon East Germans flooded into Hungary. They told their government they'd gone to Hungary for a holiday, but most of them were really looking for a way out to the west, with the ultimate destination being West Germany, where they could claim citizenship. Some East Germans tried to claim that citizenship at the West German embassy in Budapest, but a lot of them were afraid to approach the embassy. They said that the East German secret police, the Stasi, took pictures of East Germans lining up outside the embassy, and that if they were identified in those pictures, they'd face serious repercussions, as would relatives at home. There was a real humanitarian crisis building in Hungary. More and more East Germans arrived in the country. Their government had limited the amount of money they could exchange for the Hungarian currency, the forint. So East Germans were soon running out of money, and that meant they couldn't pay for food or accommodation. In Budapest, the Hungarian Maltese Charity Service came to the rescue and opened this camp, Zugliget, for East Germans. Many of the East Germans were thankful for this help, but still desperately worried. They were stuck in limbo. They couldn't leave Hungary for the West without an exit visa, but they couldn't obtain one from the Hungarian government, and they were unwilling or too scared to return home. So East Germans either stayed in the camp and waited, or took a big risk and tried to escape across the Austro-Hungarian border to the west. This picture was taken on August 19th during one of the best-known border crossing incidents. If you look down the road, you can see people walking along it. They were trying to find an opening to cross over into Austria. I took the picture from a guard tower that I'd climbed to try to spot a crossing. I'd driven up to this region for a picnic that had been arranged by the last crown prince of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Otto von Habsburg, and some of his family members, along with one of the Hungarian opposition parties, the Hungarian Democratic Forum, which had thought up the idea and was the main organizer. It was billed as a pan-European picnic at the Iron Curtain. A border crossing near Sopron was to be opened up for a few hours, and a busload of Hungarian dignitaries and journalists were to be allowed to cross over into Austria for a friendship meeting. I was with some East Germans who were trying to escape. We were all really surprised to see so many East German Trabant cars parked in fields near the picnic site. And we came across a lot of other small groups of East Germans who also said they wanted to escape, but like us, they couldn't figure out where Austria actually was. Eventually, more than 600 East Germans did find the crossing, and most of them raced over it on foot in a human stampede. As far as I could tell, there was just one border guard on duty. You can see him on the left-hand side of the picture in a hat and a white shirt. He was overwhelmed by the stampede, but he also did nothing to stop it, so there were a lot of really happy people that day who considered him a hero. In early September, the Hungarian government announced that it was opening its borders for East Germans so that they could leave. The Association of Hungarian Journalists has put together a book of the events, and this cover picture certainly captures the joy so many East Germans felt when they were actually allowed to cross the border just after midnight on September the 11th. 2 months later, the Berlin Wall fell, though there was far less jubilation on the East German side. In these pictures, you can see East German guards still preventing anyone from going near the wall on the East German side, even though the wall had been breached 3 days earlier and by then was partially dismantled.